Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Midnight's Edge in the Morning. I'm Tom Connors. With me, as always, is the boss man, Andre. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, depending on where you are.
Indeed. Also joining us this morning is Weavachino Casino.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm having a great Wednesday. It's a wonderful Wednesday. I think I've said that more than a few times today. I like Wednesdays. They're good. They're right in the middle. Yeah.
I kind of hate Wednesdays because they're in the middle.
Oh.
I always hated Sundays. I could never do Sundays. Because always in the back of my mind, I had to go to either school or work the day after.
Right. Well, I always like Sunday as a whole, but I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. Also joining us from the Great White North, Mr. Paul Chato. How are you doing?
Hi. Good. It's a very white and northy today.
Yeah, I got snow outside right now.
Snow, and my son, the mechanic shop is not so busy in January, so he's staying home today, and it's really nice to have your kid at home.
That's cool.
You're
like a
fast,
snow day.
You're fast approaching 6 digits on your channel.
Yes, I am less than 5,000 subscribers away from 100,000, which is absolutely crazy. I didn't think that would ever happen, but 2022 was a banner year for me. And it's
just use a few gamer words and you'll lose a few people today, and then it'll be more of a challenge.
Yeah, just mention Gamergate or something like that. I'm
no,
doing
just use gamer words, which are like the N word. And,
that stuff.
Yeah, the F word. And...
to tell you the truth, I was quite happy during the first YouTube purge where they kind of cut down or how do I say it, encouraged YouTubers to be a bit more advertiser friendly, because there were reviewer channels where every second word was the F word, and to be quite frank, it was just tiresome to listen to. I mean,
you didn't listen to me back then.
Probably, and then now they've clamped down even more. Even in their terms, you can now don't do it within the first 10 minutes of your video, and you know what? It's just not even worth it. You come up with new words like stroopwafel as a replacement. It's just way more fun. Or farging.
How dare you, sir?
I'm sorry. You stroopwafel.
Oh,
I think I'm going to have to start
using...
You're lucky
I don't have a gun.
I want to say thank you, Paul. I'm going to start using stroopwafel. Yeah.
That's right. It's a Dutch treat.
Oh, that sounds good.
It is. And yeah, so that's, you know what? It's way more fun trying to be clever. There's that Woody Allen bit where he crashes his car into someone and he's yelling at him, and he said, I turned the other cheek and I told him go forth and multiply, but not in those words. So I mean, that's a laugh. That's, I think, is funnier than just dropping the F-bomb. There's just a lot of ways you can have. We don't all have to be Richard Pryor.
Sometimes that's true. Sometimes the F-bomb works like a charm.
I know it comes out and it's legit at that moment, and I am not disagreeing with you, but YouTube is the word, being more circumspect, and they're not even Jewish.
Well, they're being more circumcised, if you ask me.
But that's you had to explain my joke.
Yeah,
you could have just left circumspect the way it was and let people imagine what I meant.
And I really meant fuck.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I saw some TV show or movie where the girl, some tiny 2-year-old they had the actor, the actress, the little girl just go for it. And it was just beep, 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 beep. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff.
There was that early on. Colin
Will Ferrell had the landlord scare. And my money.
Yeah, I love that. I'm like, that's a great way to launch that like niche, service, right? The Funny or Die thing. And I was like, that's brilliant. And then there was other bits in there that were funny, and then that fell apart.
Yep, you just can't keep it going.
Yeah. But with that, let's see what the audience is talking about this morning. We got Callum Lyle here who says it says something. Thank you, Cindy. Just what I needed.
Hey, Sadie.
That's Wednesday for you. Anyway,
She's in the window, of course.
Wow.
Callum says it says something when Daphne's original voice artist, Gray Delisle, if I could talk right. Delisle, okay. Roast Velma Mindy. I heard this. I didn't hear what she said, but I heard she was not too keen on the show.
No, I read her
then
post.
you blame her.
No. And you know what? If you're an actor in this and potentially your future income is going to be affected by a follow-up Daphne that kind of ruins your character, you know, that there is actually some practical aspects to saying something about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of reminds me when the She-Ra actress spoke out and got some backlash too. But I don't think that this actress is going to get the kind of backlash because this show don't seem to have the following that She-Ra did. And She-Ra had this little like cult behind it.
No one is supporting Velma, not even the shill press. No one.
Well,
no.
They are really trying to hold on to the last shreds of their credibility, though, Paul. So,
well, not only that, I think that that whoever it was, I wish I still could credit them with this, who said it during our member stream, but whoever said it, you were 100% right. This show is even too woke for the woke. This is the show that makes the woke people go, God damn, is that me? I think this might be one of the movies or shows that pushes that to the point where, because there's like this united front behind it. It's like even the woke people are like, yeah, this is just too woke.
Yeah.
And mean-spirited. That's the other thing I think that really doesn't help it at all. I mean, I haven't watched it yet. I know you have at least one episode, Paul, right?
2. I've watched 2.
I can only do the first one, man. I was done in the first 30 seconds when you had 3, patriarchy jokes to start off with. And by the time you get to the shower scene, which is only 5 minutes in, I was like, this is no thanks.
I think I might have been the first person to, on this show, characterize it as mean-spirited.
You did.
And then
probably, yeah.
Everyone else has been using that same word. Either they're watching my videos or they're coming up with the
It's
same.
just absolutely true, yeah.
Mean-spirited. That's what that show is, and nobody likes it.
Sometimes a pig is just a pig.
And it's a good notion that the woke get to see just how bad it's going to be if they let it keep going.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even think it has anything to do with, there's woke fans of Scooby-Doo or anything like that. I think it is just one of those shows that is just so bad. And Culture's right. Like, there's been a few things here and there where the critics have had to be honest. And part of it, Andre has suspected has been pretty much, they have to save some face now because sooner or later people are going to start going, well, clearly they're, even the normies are going to start noticing, basically, as I think what Andre was getting at, right?
Yeah.
But my contention has always been that the notion of woke casting and railing against it has more a function to do with the fact that in almost every single example, the shows were terrible. That, let's take one of the worst examples, Blood Origin. You've got an actress in the lead who is supposed to be, that strong, what's the term? Strong woman? Strong female character. And she's not convincing. And she's beating up 300-pound guys and blah, blah, blah. And yes, but let's say, they replaced her with Grace Jones, and who's stunning, and you'd love to see her in a role like that. And yes, it would be woke, but I would enjoy it. So it's you can't just lay that woke on a show, even Velma, because almost anything can be made to work, is my contention. Just like in Ratatouille, anyone can learn to cook. So it has a lot. Yeah, I don't think they do themselves any favors by making those changes. But on the other hand, if it was well written and well cast, then at least you're giving the show a chance. That's the problem, is that the shows are double cursed. They're wokeified and they're dreadful. And so we blame it on it being woke. And my contention is that that is not necessarily the case. So there you go. silence from
Yeah,
everyone.
well,
Silence
you're
is
partially right.
golden.
It's obviously woke but I would also say that when something is woke, it can't be good. Because
Well-
if it's woke, it means by definition that it places its social messaging first. That is what it's fundamentally about. And it's fundamentally about an ideology that has no support in actual reality, which precludes it from being good. So if it's woke, it can't be good. But it's a matter of how bad can it get.
Yes.
And this is a case of woke, so bad by default, but bad for woke even.
And it's started by a bunch of woke people who don't understand the mistakes that they're making. So it goes right back to its origins, that the people are virtue signaling right from the beginning and patting each other on the back, saying what a marvelous job we've done. And
Basically, yeah.
Pretty much.
Speaking of people who think they did marvelous jobs, Callum Lyle says if Bros won an Oscar, I would get AIDS.
Or it would get, but yeah.
Oh, it.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't say the pox associated with monkeys that they threatened us all with for a while ago.
I was going to say that was a bigger problem recently. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that they claimed that children were the
Yes.
most susceptible to. I would have to say that the kids susceptible to that have bigger problems, but that's neither here nor there.
But yeah, funnily enough, or not funnily enough, Bros didn't get one single Oscar nomination.
And I'm surprised that has not covered the Twitterverse.
That does not surprise me. You know what really surprises me, Paul, and this is what pissed me off last night, because we went over the Oscars and the Razzies. Bros didn't get one single Razzie nomination. I'm sitting here going, you know what?
Wow.
These are the safest Razzies I've ever seen in my life. In fact, I know why now they're going after the Razzies for picking a kid, because this ain't the first time they picked a kid actor in a category. The reason is because they didn't pick anybody who was not safe.
Yeah, so what you're saying is the Razzies
interesting.
have gone woke.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Exactly, because I noticed, I'm like, where's Bros? Where's some of this other shit? And like, other people are like, yeah, where's the blue dude from fucking Wakanda Forever and shit? Like where? Yeah, like they were like, wait a minute, there's no diversity in the. Where's the Razzie is so white?
Yeah, Tenoch Huerta should have been in there for sure.
Yeah, the water Mexican.
How the fuck did Razzies get away scot free, or the Bros get away from the Razzies scot free? Is beyond me.
Basically, the Razzies have lost it.
Kind of.
So.
I mean, okay, well, every other award program has lost it. Why would the Razzies get away unscathed? That's what you have to ask yourself. And
Good
the people
point.
behind the Razzies, they still live in LA. They're subject to the same social rules and pressures and stuff. It was like one thing to give Halle Berry a Razzie for Catwoman, a movie which was universally ridiculed and panned anyway. Like most of the stuff that they did was always safe. But now they're suddenly in an environment where if they give a negative award to the wrong thing, that suddenly might be problematic. That might give them some blowback. So not only is the Oscar irrelevant these days, the Razzies are too.
Well, and point being, they're getting just tons of flack over nominating the star of the remake of Firestarter. That's the kid that they're even like all these. There's a bunch of actors going out there like, oh my god, I hope this actress can continue after this, and you don't shake her and rattle and get in her head. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, they should be saying that about like the poor young actress who played young Leia in Obi-Wan, because she couldn't even run.
Well, and again, I don't even blame that on her. And I mean, I'd be one of those that like, yeah, I would probably leave kids out of it, but they also get paid. So, I mean, a critic should be able to critique. And if you're just talking about her acting and nothing else, then hey.
The kid who played Skywalker in the first in Star Wars #1.
That's who they brought up as an example, because he also got nominated for a Razzie. Yes,
and deservedly so.
Well, and again, that's another one I'd go back and it's like, is it really his fault or is it George Lucas's fault because George Lucas picked the wrong kid?
Which he always does. I mean, George Lucas his casting is very hit or miss, and if we're honest, it's more miss than hit.
Well,
So
and
if
you
you
see
want
it
to
right in the making of the video where they got the two kids, they got the two screen tests. Clearly, the one is much better. And he goes, oh, I like this kid better because he looks a little bit more natural. What are you guys thinking? Everybody's like, oh, yeah, we agree, George. Yeah, that kid, yeah, definitely Jake's the one. And then as soon as George leaves the room, they're like, the other kid's better. Yeah, he'd make this go a lot smoother. Yeah. Yeah, so as soon as George left the room, everybody was like opposite. And you could see just from the acting of the kid that, like, and I'm not saying the kid would have done better. He'd have been, you know, maybe like a bit smoother acting. Jake worked with what he had.
Better, but
exactly my point. Sorry. Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
that's interesting. So there's some footage online of
it's
of
in the
audition
beginning. In fact, if one of the best documentaries that have ever been made, Paul, is called The Beginning. It's about the making of episode 1. It takes you from the moment he announced it, started writing it, to the moment of release. And you see everything that went wrong and right through the entire thing. And it's a very fly on the wall. Honestly, they have suppressed it quite a bit in the last few years. I don't think it's been on any of the recent releases. It may have been on the Blu-rays, but I'm not 100% sure.
It was on the first, well...
I was going to say, it's been one that's been kind of hit and miss, whether or not it's on the DVDs and Blu-rays when you pick it up.
Red Letter Media kind of made it famous.
Yeah.
It's called The Beginning?
The Beginning, the making of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, or whatever. Yeah, it's on YouTube, but it's like, as far as your hit and miss on which version you pick up on disc, if it'll have it on it. Because I think George removed it later on for that reason, because of what Andre just said. Red Letter Media basically used it in their huge review of Star Wars.
If you ever watched the Phantom edit, whoever did that re-edit cut around him really expertly, and it actually worked quite well. They just took all the stupid jokes and things out of his mouth and cut down his appearance to the bare minimum.
Somebody actually changed it to an alien language, which helped.
What?
When he speaks, instead of him talking like this, you know, Jar Jar, you know, he actually speaks in like a Huttese kind of language.
Oh, you're talking about Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking about the kid. I'm talking about.
The kid. Yeah, there's no fixing that.
No. He did the Phantom edit, fixed it really well.
They took out Wizard and stuff like that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's a great cut. I never minded Jar Jar Binks. I thought he was unnecessarily, but I don't want to get into that. Let's keep going with the Oscars.
No, but yeah, there's a that's also where the documentary where you get the scene where they watch the screening, and George says, "I may have went a little too far, and I can't fix it now."
Wow.
Yeah. You can basically like see them in the screening room, George Lucas and the producers. I don't know why they would even do that, but they basically filmed their reaction to the movie, and you can see them all sitting there in stunned silence at how awful it was.
Well, I think they were just, I don't know about the awfulness of it, but they were just bombarded because, like, you watch them and like they're all excited at first, and then by the end of the movie, everybody's just slumped down in their chair. You got Rick McCullum in the back, just like flabbergasted as fuck, and then George is just sitting there trying to make excuses for the whole thing, and it's just like, you know, and it started because he started off with a joke which didn't help, because he's like, remember, kids, you're not watching the movie or the visuals, you're listening to the music, you know, and he's like making jokks about it and everything because he thought it was going to be such a great screening. But anyway, Orion K and member has been a member for 1 month at the Edgelord level and has been watching Midnight's Edge for some years now, usually during my lunch breaks. Keep up the good work. Well, hopefully you're having lunch and it's a good lunch today and you're listening. Thank you so much, Orion Kahan. And then Dr. Long Dongler sent us in a thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. Thank you, Dr. Long Dongler. STR Red Wolf says, hail all. The 2023 Oscar nominations are out, and no DC, no Marvel, only Avatar for Best Picture under Fox Disney. Interesting. Well, The Batman did get the Suicide Squad Award nomination and one other.
Let's go through the Oscars again real quick here, since we are on the topic.
Why not?
Tom, in the private chat, I put the link.
I see that.
Yeah.
Do we really care about the Oscars, or are we?
No, we don't. But let's
We actually had a
Go through
conversation
anyway.
about it last night. We did the whole show, and at the end, because a few people were asking that very question, Paul and I said, you know what? I don't think they do, but I said I think this year they will have a bump in their ratings. And Culture, I think you kind of agreed with me in a sense that the reason being, and that is that most of these movies that are nominated are actually movies that people saw because nothing else came out this year, so they had nothing else to nominate.
And you saw the line got more crossed than it usually does as far as independents like finding their way into the conversation, because people actually saw some of these independent films which they wouldn't normally, because the volume of studio pictures has been reduced, and they're desperately trying to save this award show. You can tell by
which is another reason. Yeah. I say, which is another reason why they would have nominated some of these bigger name movies. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you. This is part of the conversation we had last night over on Midnight's Edge After Dark. Look, it's really easy to try to assign significance to the films that were picked, these nominations anyway. So I think going through them will reveal a lot.
Yeah, we're gonna quickly go through these. Obviously, we're not gonna go through all the awards.
What?
We'll go through the major ones anyway.
I want to go through just the technical awards.
I knew you would.
That's all I want. Best
you're a tech nerd.
lensing.
Then show up the night before the awards, Paul. That's when they give the nerds the awards.
I think the best gripping award is the most important.
Yep.
Wrong
the most gripping one.
I totally agree. Okay, let's go.
Actor in a leading role. We got Bill Nighy for Living. We got Paul Mescal for After Sun. Brendan Fraser for The Whale. Colin Farrell for Banshees of the Inisherin. How did I say that last night? I don't remember. Nominees Austin Butler also for Elvis. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I'm pretty sure just from the way things have been going, Brendan Fraser might actually get this one.
That was what I think. That was like the consensus on the panel last night. I think you're right, although there's a decent shot that Colin Farrell will get it for Banshees of Inisherin.
No, I'm thinking the big competition is Elvis.
I think you're right, Paul.
Okay.
The only other one I've heard is the might upset is Bill Nighy, because that one kind of came in under the wire, and I never even heard of Living, but then people have started talking about the movie all of a sudden because of the nomination. So maybe.
But, again, and this is not to denigrate Brendan at all, a fine Canadian who, or maybe he's an American who grew up in Canada. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We take everyone that we can because we're a very insecure country. The fact that he's put on this tour de force and the fat suit, and the fact that he went through a personal breakdown, these all add to the story of the actor, and the Oscars traditionally love the backstory as well as the acting role that the person has executed. So from that perspective, I would say The Whale is a shoo-in.
Kind of a shoo-in, yeah.
It's kind of interesting that you say that, because of course they're interested in the narrative surrounding.
Correct. It's prototypical.
Yeah.
Oscars.
Oh, it's Oscar bait role. It's total Oscar bait. Right.
This is like a beautiful actress not wearing makeup for a role, and everyone going, that is so brave.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. And then we got actor in supporting role. We got Brendan Gleeson, Brian Tyree Henry, Judd Hirsch, Barry Keoghan, and Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, here's where I think a lot of people are thinking Ke Huy Quan might come away with this one. And I'm going to predict now that Everything Everywhere All at Once will win at least half of, if not more than half of its Oscars. It'll sweep most of these.
Man, could you imagine being Judd Hirsch and be up for the second time? This only the second time in 40 some years, and not win again.
But I never saw the movie, but none of the people who nominated him did either.
Probably not.
Could it be his turn? Because you're right. Like, this is probably the last time that he's going to be here. It's a movie that's a tribute to Hollywood, to Spielberg, to traditional Hollywood in every single way. Could it be that the Academy decides that we have to be super diverse and stuff like that, but it's his turn, and this was a movie for us.
Well, Hollywood is not doesn't avoid masturbatory opportunities, and certainly the the stories, movies about themselves, they absolutely enjoy. And yes, Andre, there's many times an Oscar has been given to someone who has not gotten it before, often more deservedly so, and so they feel guilty about it, and then they just do an Oscar dump.
Kind of a gimme, yeah.
But I've got a feeling it's going to be key. I mean,
I think so. I mean, there's that chance it could be Judd, just for all the reasons you guys just said. But don't forget that Judd has also been looked at as more of a television actor over the years, and how yeah, exactly. Hollywood looks at certain actors that way. Yeah,
yeah, like he's Paul Chato territory. Hollywood don't want to get close to that.
Wow.
I didn't know Paul was Jewish. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my.
I'm going for key.
Yeah, I think so.
To be clear, I was going for TV territory, just like
that's
confusion there. But
there is a certain ethnic
group
in Hollywood that is not enjoying the fact that Koreans and Asians are doing well, but I won't get into that.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Then we got actress in a leading role, Kate
Michelle.
Blanchett.
Oh, you got
Anna de Armas. Yeah, Andrea Rosenborough. I think I said that right. Michelle Williams and Michelle Yeoh. I think Michelle Yeoh is going to win this one. Obviously.
Now, Kate won the Golden Globes.
But didn't Michelle win also as well? But that was because they were split up in the Golden Globes. One was under drama and one's under the other, I think it was.
So I can't speak for Tar.
I'd have to look. Yeah.
I didn't see it, but I did. Michelle was spectacular in Everything, Everywhere, and for no other reason that they stuck her into so many costumes and so much makeup and so many different faces. What a job it was, just from a mechanical acting perspective. To
yes.
Yeah, it's going to take home all those technical awards that are tied to that.
I can predict already that Jimmy Kimmel's going to make a half a dozen Everything, Everywhere, all the Oscars jokes right now.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee it, because it's going to sweep, and so they're going to have plenty of fodder for it.
But Tar is a personal tour de force movie, yes. So it's going to be a tough one. I think it's a toss-up, but I'm going to give it to Michelle, because I don't think she's going to get another crack at this ever in her life. And Kate will.
Well, Michelle's been nominated a few times sins,
but
Crouching
not
Tiger,
this kind of movie. She's not
true.
This is such a special film. She did a stellar job.
No, I agree with you. This is her time. And I said Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is going to win at least 6 or so Oscars out of the 11 it's nominated for, if not more.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Unless anybody else thinks otherwise, yeah.
No, I think Michelle will win. I think, if there were going to be an upset, it would be Kate. And unfortunately for Anna de Armas, they're going to look at her and say, "You have years."
Well, that's the standout one, right? Culture, because a lot of people were surprised she even got the nomination, because Blonde, speaking of Razzies, was like all over the Razzies, because that was a very controversial film this last year. But,
I think this category is controversial for who it didn't nominate more than
always. Yeah.
And
you're missing Regina. You're missing a bunch of people that they wanted in this.
Correct. So that's problematic. But Anna is attractive, and apparently I heard she did a great job. I should watch it. It's on Netflix, so I should watch it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. I guess actress in a so we're going for Michelle.
Yes. Sorry, we've got supporting role. We got Angela Bassett, who was nominated before the movie even came out.
Oh my God! They're Freudian.
The Whale. Then we got Carrie Condon, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Stephanie Sue. Now, this is Jamie Lee Curtis's first nomination, believe it or not.
Ever?
But I have yes. And this is the funny thing, though, and I don't know if you've ever noticed this in the past with the Oscars. It's not like straight on science or math, but when you tend to have two actors or actresses in the same movie, in the same category, they generally cancel each other out. So I have a feeling this is
Yep.
going to be the one to get it.
Yep. And I think that the Academy willfully did this.
I think she was predetermined. Exactly. I think she was predetermined from the very start. They had talked about it before the movie even come out. So I think that this was already the only upset I could see here is Jamie Lee Curtis getting it.
I don't see that happening.
Why?
Like I said, when you look at this particular type of an event, the people that are really big fans of the film, Everything Everywhere All at Once, are going to split the vote between those two actresses.
Sure. Yeah, no. But I think in terms of deserving it, there's no question Jamie Lee had more to do.
She's deserved an Oscar more than once, though. I mean, this is not the first time.
Oh, yeah. So, but I think you're right. Angela Bassett is going to get it because she was, pretty stunning, and she did a good job in Wakanda. Majestic. She was majestic in Wakanda.
Yeah. Somebody that can eat the screen. I mean,
right. And Jamie had droopy boobs, which completely disqualifies her.
Well, here's where I think maybe Jamie could go into an upset is they have the whole lesbian subtext with her character, Michelle, in the movie. And there's the thing, there's a lot of stuff in Everything Everywhere All at Once that I said that it is definitely, and this is why I predicted it will get a bunch of Oscar nominations, is it has a lot of stuff in it that's going to key in that these Oscar folk are going to like. And it has all the things that they like about movies. And yeah, so it could be possibly, but they've been predetermining Angela Bassett for so long that I think that's the case.
I think that's done.
Yeah.
Okay, animated.
Anyway, and also that right now there are like quotas and criteria. Just for that, she's going to win by default.
Yep. Yeah, and then here's a quick one that I think nobody disagrees with. That Pinocchio's probably going to run away with it, but also nominated is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots, surprisingly, The Sea Beast, and Disney's Turning Red somehow
Here's
got a nomination.
Here's one thing that stands out, though, which I think is worth mentioning while we're on the topic of the Oscars. We are now in the animated feature film, and the only thing associated with Disney here is Turning Red. Where is Lightyear? Where is Strange Worlds? Usually, every single Disney and Pixar movie would be in the animated feature film category. I mean, that this category was created very much so for them. And usually you have like 80% of nominees would be Disney and or Pixar nominees. And this year is just one.
In the animated category, yes, but when we get to the main other films, it's a little different if you count.
I need to watch Red. Yeah. I want to see whether it deserves the hate it gets. It looks great. So
yeah, I haven't seen it, so I can't.
It's about a girl in her first period. There you go.
Which I don't have a problem with.
Well, anyway, cinematography. This is one that Culture and I were just aghast that we could not believe Top Gun didn't get nominated in.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
But All Quiet on the Western Front did. Bardo, False Chronicle of Handful Truths. Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar got nominated. Probably going to be All Quiet on the Western Front. Usually that's where cinematography will give like a war movie.
It was pretty spectacular. I mean, serious amount of work, but I'm going to give it to
Have
Elvis.
You seen it?
Yeah.
You seen All Quiet on the Western Front?
I have got partway through it.
Oh, okay. Is it any good? I've heard mostly good about it.
Oh, no, it's brutal.
Okay. Yeah, Elvis might get this one. You're right. So who knows? But I think if not, it might be All Quiet. But we'll see. In costumes, chances are, I think we all kind of predicted it'd probably be Black Panther, just cause. But Elvis might go.
Yeah, I was going to say Elvis had probably the second best chance, and then I would agree with Paul and say that Everything Everywhere All at Once might be your under the radar pick because of all of the stuff they had to do in that film.
Maybe, but I think they'll give it to Black Panther simply for the culture.
I think the fact that in Babylon they put enough tape on Margot Robbie's wrap that it didn't fall off her boobs. That was a lot. That was one that should have been special effects then, I guess.
Well, Paulie brought up that Babylon didn't get nominated in costume as well, considering all the costume changing.
Well, there is Babylon in there.
Yeah, Babylon's there.
Babylon's there.
Right at the top.
Right at the top.
Oh, it is. I'm sorry. I missed it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, I think,
so maybe that's what he meant.
Okay, here's a big one.
We got Banshees of the Inisherin with Martin McDonough, or however you say it. Everything Everywhere All at Once, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. The Fablemans with Steven Spielberg, who never wins, so he won't win. Tar with Todd Field. And Triangle of Sadness with, okay, Andre, I'm going to give this a shot. Ruben Östlund.
Oh, that wasn't too bad. Ruben Östlund.
Yeah. It sounds like one of your countrymen or close to it.
Swedish.
That's what I was thinking, maybe. And this one,
you can tell from the that's like the O with the two dots over. That's the giveaway for Sweden.
Yeah. Okay.
umlaut.
Well,
Umlaut.
that's what I just said. Yeah, umlaut. In this case, obviously, Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to win.
Oh, without question. What a ton of work.
Does anybody care about documentaries?
I didn't
know.
Short films.
Everything Everywhere is a great middle finger from the Russo brothers to Disney.
In a way, yes. Film editing, Banshees.
Everything.
Everything again will sweep. Yeah.
Sorry.
Probably.
There's Top Gun Maverick. But
it is, but I think, this is another one I think it'll sweep. Then we got international film, which is this is one where people are upset that RRR didn't get nominated.
Yes.
Then we got makeup and hairstyling with All Quiet, The Batman. So it got the Suicide Squad nomination. Black Panther, Elvis, and The Whale. I think The Whale's going to do this one because of the whole fat costume.
If not, it'd be Black Panther.
I think this is a nod to Black Panther.
Yeah.
Could be, but I think Whale might pull the upset just for...
it's big. I mean, they're gonna get an award for having African Americans cosplaying Africans.
That's true. I'm not going to deny that. Then we got musical score. We got All Quiet, Babylon, Banshees, Everything, The Fablemans.
We already know what's
now. We talked about this. This is a weird one because this is John Williams, probably one of his last chances to win.
Yep. And
I brought up that I was like, I don't think he's won in this century. I'm like, well, at least this decade. And then Paulie looked it up. Guess the last time John Williams has won an Oscar?
70s.
No, it's been a little bit later than that. Schindler's List.
Oh, wow.
So it has been over 20 some years, but he's the most nominated person in history. So I have a feeling at his age right now, being this is probably going to be one of his next to last, if not last nominations, that might be his gimme award.
I will say that his career has suffered.
It has, but being that this is such a tied to Spielberg film, like this might be the only award that the Fablemans gets. That's what I'm saying.
I see your point.
It's his 53rd nomination.
That's what I mean. He's been nominated more than anybody else in history. Yep.
Loser.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. That's loser.
But it's hard to believe that he has not won since Schindler's List.
Man. Can I add a little context to what Disney put out there in the world for your consideration for the Oscars? They did put up both Strange World and Light Beer.
Of course they did.
Of course.
Yeah.
And they weren't considered. That is the significant thing for me.
Right.
They were considered, and the answer was no.
Yeah, they were found lacking.
Yeah,
I didn't watch Strange World, but Light Beer was terrible. I mean, it was a bad movie.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about the controversial part. I didn't care about that.
It was just a bad movie overall, yeah. Then we got original song. We got Applause from Tell It Like a Woman, Hold My Hand from Top Gun, Lift Me Up from Black Panther, Not To from RRR. This is Life from Everything Everywhere All at Once. My prediction on this is Hold My Hand is going to win. What do you guys think? I think this is one of the few awards Top Gun's going to get.
I think they have to. They're going to have to acknowledge it, or again, I mean, they will make the award show less relevant if Top Gun doesn't pull an award.
That's a good point.
You know,
well, not only that, the Academy likes Lady Gaga.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, she's weird, but
she won before for the Star Is Born song, didn't she?
Yeah. Also weird. But anyway, so and also the only other one that I would even consider putting in there is Not To, because if they don't throw an acknowledgement at RRR, they're gonna you're gonna have.
I get what you're
fan
saying,
revolt.
Culture, but the fact that this is the only nomination it gets, if it had gotten nominated in a couple other categories, I'd have said this is the one it's going to win.
Yeah, I agree with I for the first time I agree with Tom.
I
Wow,
think
I'm
it's
writing
just
that
in here
down.
because they were just pressured to have it in here. I don't think it's going to win. It might, but I have for
Kind of
me,
fun.
Hold My Hand for some reason has the chance to run away with it because I hear it every time I go to Walmart too. So it has that kind of Titanic song kind of thing to it. Then we got Best Picture.
I
Here's the big
gotta
ones.
go to Walmart to listen to all my favorite tunes now.
You do, yes. We got Best Picture now. All Quiet. This is where I don't know why they overloaded the Best Picture category with like tons of movies. Like it makes any difference. But we got All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking. This is going to be a tough one. But I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is the shoe-in, obviously. But
I think
you
so
guys think?
too, because I think that Hollywood would have liked, because Rose, that was an attempted virtue signal, and so is Women Talking. This was like this tremendous virtue signal. We're going to say, oh, look at us, how good we are. And the audience rejected it completely. Now, will Hollywood go with the audience on this one? Or are they still going to try to salvage a movie which was very much Hollywood showing, look how good we are after all? I don't know. I wouldn't count that movie out completely.
Okay, and actually, I got to correct myself. Six sent me in the background. Technically, Walt Disney has more nominations. So there you go, with 64. So
yeah, but they
all right.
aren't for their animated stuff, which is interesting.
No, but I think that's as a person, as a producer. But then, there's a few other categories. Top Gun might get the sound. Who knows? Visual effects. Avatar will probably win. I don't know what you guys think there. Then we got writing. We got adapted screenplay. All Quiet. Glass Onion made it in there. So Rian Johnson is now Oscar nominated again. Living, Top Gun, and Women Talking. I think this is going to be the only award All Quiet wins, but what do you guys think? Aside maybe the cinematography.
I don't know.
Well, there's no way Glass Onion's going to win.
No.
God, I hope not.
Living might come away with this one. See, this is usually adapted screenplays where they usually give an award to one of these movies that doesn't get anything else. Then you got the original screenplay award, which I call the Quentin Tarantino award because it's the only one he ever wins. Got Banshees, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Fabelmans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. Obviously, Everything Everywhere All at Once will probably win it. What do you guys think? Anything stick out to you?
I think your dark horse candidate there will be Tar.
Yeah, probably. That might be the one place. But I think that Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to sweep so much that I could be wrong on that, but
well, you're gonna lose. Okay, so look, they have to honor some big stuff. Again, I'm gonna say this one more time. You're gonna have to figure out a way to give awards to big films that make money, or people that people have actually seen, or they're going to continue to tune out of this show. They're desperately trying to keep this thing alive until it hits its 100th birthday. This is 95. You cannot maintain this show and its current decline, without, having some actual cultural relevance, to what people have actually seen. You have to be part of the zeitgeist. They have not been that.
Well, they're going to see this. I predict they will have a little bump in the ratings this year, and they'll see that as some sort of win. And it'll just send them back down the same path they've been on for the past 3 decades, where they have a good show. They try to replicate that show for the next 5 years and fail. Then they try something different, and it either fails miserably or they just go back to Billy Crystal.
He's going to be, well, wow. Okay.
At this point, that's your only, I'm waiting for them to go, you know what, we're bringing back Billy Crystal, and they literally wheel his ass out on the stage.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like you said, I mean, if voters, somebody better have their thumb on the scale here. So we'll see, though.
Well, they need to. What the sad part is they need to get back to what it used to be, and that was more of a roast and less of a cocksucking contest.
You know what? What they need are more movies that people have actually gone
That
out
too.
to see,
That's what I said.
and are. I know. I'm just confirming with you
Yeah.
that in the end, it's no different from watching Miss Universe contest. And if everybody is ugly, then the show is not successful.
This is true. And with that, let's see what the audience is saying.
Sorry for sounding sexist.
No, you're very sexy.
Yeah, I was gonna
Miguel,
say, that's the
My
opposite.
mom and I
what's
was
wrong with being sexy?
And one of the favorite things my mom and I used to do was watch the Miss America pageant, and we'd sit there. And my Hungarian mother, and she'd be sitting there on the lazy boy, and the Miss Iowa would come out, Miss Iowa, and she would go, ugly and pretty. She would give the Roman thumbs up and thumbs down to each of the Miss New Jersey. No. So, hey, blame my mom for
That's funny.
my
Miguel Farah is here, and he says, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Midnight's Edge is late again. Yeah, we try not to be.
Well, you're just late with your money.
You're just early. No. Horseradish Power has been a member for 3 months at the Edgelord and says, Velma is in a weird and dirty town with dense and nasty people. So is it LA or the future version of Harfoot's home? Hard to tell right now. It could be both.
Wow.
Well, actually, the Harfoots are in England, so this has to be LA. House of Trades has also been a member for 21 months. Thank you so much. Mario Trillo says, I'm reminded of the Simpsons meme, stop, he's already dead. Seems to apply to the MCU at this point. Bring out the marshmallows and let it burn. Well, we're going to get onto that in just a moment here, actually, Mario, so hold that thought. Zontar says, overtake an anime of F4 Japanese Championship announced by Katakawa. Meanwhile, Crunchyroll removing free ad-supported tier from streaming. Well, we'll also get into streaming a little later, but anybody got any comments on this situation?
I don't know any of this stuff, but I guess maybe Crunchyroll is ready to accommodate that one Japanese distributor that wants to pull out of Netflix for adding ad support, and they have demanded that no one with ad-supported services can show their anime. So maybe this is tied to that.
Maybe. So yeah, as far as the streaming thing, we'll get back to that. So hang on to that. We got Waltman here who says reviews for Hogwarts Legacy are in, and here's the template from the articles. First half is complaining about J.K. Rowling, and second half is about the game.
Oh,
Interesting.
Really?
So this is reviews from the mainstream gaming press like IGN or something.
Yeah, that would be the reviews from those who were predisposed to disliking it and giving it a bad review anyway. I'd be much more interested in finding out what do the actual players think about it, rather than the entertainment media complex, who again are terrified of giving it any kind of good review. I mean, just look at Mark Hamill and what happened to him for having the audacity.
I heard he buckled like a bitch.
One of Rowling's Twitter posts.
And I heard he buckled like a bitch and tried to apologize.
Oh yeah, well he did, of course. Because however you may feel like, or whatever you may feel about Luke Skywalker, there's obviously a difference between Mark Hamill, the public persona, and Luke Skywalker, the character.
We need more people like Mark Hamill and even the original turncoats to actually support JK to just shut this all down.
Yeah,
every person who turns and runs away, like the voice actor for Harry Potter who's apologized, it's just, I mean, it's sickening because it is provably wrong, provable that J.K. Rowling said nothing wrong, yet you are fully committed into this camp of nut bars, absolute insane people who have to bow to these idiots who are, and it's only a handful. It's not even a lot.
Yeah, Gail Simone went after her the other day too. I don't know if you saw that. She actually commented on Six's comment because Six said, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book.
Oh, yeah, that was a long while ago.
Yeah, that was just the other day, but that's what this is all stemming from too, is this whole like just hatred of J.K. Rowling just because they think she's a TERF.
Right.
And this whole like, well, you get used to it. There's going to be an uprising. I can see it already. Women have had enough.
And it's not just the individuals who are leading this thing. It's the people who are following these clowns that feel that they've got to show their virtuousness by supporting some really mean, terrible people. So it's insane out there. Again, as I will repeat many times, yet again, we are still in a very tiny bubble as it relates to the society at large, who doesn't know anything of what we're speaking of. Although that being said, a lot of gamers are online listening to this stuff. So
it's going to be funny. Oh, go ahead, Culture.
I was just gonna say they're more keenly aware of the degradation of the quality of their games, and of course the messaging in them. I mean, if anybody's aware, it's gamers. So
well, and we know Zaslav right now after DC, his big thing is Harry Potter. What I think is going to be hilarious is if the Rees like just freak the fuck out because they announced that J.K. Rowling along with some other producer are now going to be heading up, the upcoming Wizard franchise. And they actually even refer to her as the mother of Harry Potter. That would totally just freak them the fuck out.
Ultimately, the thing is, the Rees can go nuts all they want, but they never support their position with their wallets. That's the craziest thing. I don't understand why everyone is afraid of them. So there's nothing that they say or do that makes anybody else on the other side any money.
Yeah. I'll tell you a couple reasons why
they would never go to Universal Hogwarts anyway.
Right. Well, yeah.
Well, you're probably not wrong in that respect, Paul, but here's why they're afraid of them. A, social media. Hollywood thinks that social media is a bigger deal than it really is.
Correct. I've always said that.
B, these people get the media's attention first and foremost. That's another thing. So regardless of, they can sit there and tell us to fuck off all day because nobody in the media of any real, notice is going to say shit when they say shit to us. But if somebody like J.K. Rowling says something, well, that's on every fucking headline of every fucking page of every website and on CNN and everywhere, right? Like, it's the same thing when happened with Gina Carano. Like, my dad had no fucking clue what The Mandalorian was, gave a shit about Star Wars, but he sure did hear about Gina Carano on CNN, and boy, did they misrepresent the situation.
Yeah.
And the other thing, too, is that these nut jobs seem to spend their entire day online. That's the other thing. Well, they do nothing else but spend their time on Twitter and Instagram. And
you're not wrong.
It's, yeah, and could it be, and this is speculation on my part, but it's because of how more and more people don't actually do anything.
Correct. They have no lives.
Yeah.
So this is the substitute for their life. Their sad, pathetic lives.
It's like your pronouns are not a personality. Those conversations, I mean, a lot of people think that's like, a war of words, but it's really, part of a description of what's happening. So maybe that's it.
Well, let me put it to you this way too. Here's another, and I know this is kind of a broad kind of breakdown of the whole situation, but you have a lot of very unhappy people because they've been raised in a world where they're taught that everything that's cisgender or family normative is wrong. So you have a lot of people where that's probably the lifestyle they would have picked if they weren't pressured into thinking it was wrong their entire lives. Now, granted, there's a percentage of those people who are never going to have a standard, typical husband, wife, 2 kids and a dog situation, right? I get that. But the fact that they're actively going against it, but they're actively going against it to the point where there's a lot of people where that would probably be exactly what they need in their lives or would make them happy or fulfilled, but they feel like they're guilty for wanting said thing because it's all these istophobes that they've been thrown at for the last decade, basically now almost.
Well, they've created their own instability. In many ways, probably through whatever education they received, and you end up in a situation where you have, these are some interesting statistics, which is less than 50% or right about 50% of women under the age of 30 are not having children. So if you're looking for the deconstruction of the family and everything else, that's where that kind of.
Well, and I didn't want to go too deep into it, but that's where this stuff is rooted from when it comes with J.K. Rowling, and that's my whole point, is that these people just can't leave her the fuck alone and let her have an opinion on, on what a woman should be coming from an actual fucking woman, because they can't even define what a woman is. So,
well, I mean, you watch that if you're somebody who actually opened your mind and watched that particular documentary that was put together by Mr. Walsh. It was intriguing because not one person wanted to answer that question, including somebody who intentionally wanted to have that discussion was a psych professor in a university, and just went around in a circular argument. Just would not answer that question.
Well, and it's gotten so bad with all this bullshit that even on Toxic Femme the other night, we were talking about the whole Aretha Franklin story. That was a fake news story, but it was believable. That's how crazy these fucking people are. That's the problem. Yeah.
And now you're seeing, and again, this is one of these weird constructs from social media. You're seeing these parody accounts sound so convincing.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
These people. Yeah. It's ridiculous. I mean, I found one today that I'm like, if this is real, I'm losing my mind.
Oh, there's a few I've seen that are actual real, and they make me lose my mind every day. I just sent one to Andre this morning.
Part of the problem is that the woke doctrine does not include fairness. And at some point, people are going to revolt, especially at work, because equity of outcome goes completely against the idea that the best and most qualified person should get a job.
Right.
And eventually you're going to fill an office full of people who are just not going to be compatible.
Well, it's
not respected.
But it's
pretty much.
Well, it's already happened in Hollywood across the board. But it's a type of thinking called lowest common denominator.
Sure.
And that's the level at which everybody is being like pushed down to. The exceptional or not, are actually going to be actively oppressed from success. It's going to be interesting if they actually get their way. But look, I won't take anybody seriously who pushes that narrative and has $1 billion if they don't give it all away right now.
And I've always said I have no problem with diversity in the workplace. It's more a function of spend your money on creating a larger pool, so you have more people qualified and are really good to pick from. Don't tell me that there's one pool that has got 10,000 individuals in it, and then another pool that's only got 2, but you're mandated to only pick from the pool of 2 people. And you think you're going to get somebody good. You're not.
No, and that's what's got us here.
So spend your time increasing the pool. I'm all for that. I'm not against that.
Right, but you're right. I mean, and again, we're going to go right back to the song you and I need to write called Checkbox Hero. That's what we're at right now, and
not to get too drowned in all that, but I think that all stems from that. But history will always remember. It's always bad. Robot says Alex has been banned from the building. Karma. Well, I hadn't heard that, but that's interesting if it's true. He's talking about Alex Kurtzman, obviously.
From which building?
I think he means CBS. Montaro says Kevin Feige is Stroopwafel. And then Stroopwafels are a must with coffee, says Thirsty Person.
Yeah, Stroopwafels. That's the correct spelling.
I gotta use that now. I wrote it down.
And then Pilgrim Media says Midnight's Edge, fervig and nervin to you and all a good day.
Go Stroopwafel yourself.
Go Stroopwafel. Yes. Maverick Christian says, what happened to the nice intro music for Midnight's Edge in the morning? Well, it seems that StreamYards is having some technical difficulties lately. Did not play the audio for Toxic Femme, and it didn't play it this morning, it sounds like. And yeah, we heard it on our end, so it's weird that it's not playing through. But I will, Andre, we have to remember to send them a thumbs down and tell them the music still ain't working. So yeah. And we got a random WDW Pro in the chat. It says, a problem with woke is that it erases art and promos propaganda. Yeah, that's pretty much what we were kind of just talking about. Yeah. Pretty much in so many words. Thank you, WDW. If you're right.
And as I posted on his channel, it's the people who created a past versus people who have no idea how to make a future.
Right. Yeah, and we have no visionaries. There's very few. How's
that for a catchphrase? Snap!
Which
I
it
made up
is.
with that.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know. Honestly, we have so few visionaries now. We were a world full of them, and because of circumstances, those people are not highlighted. And they should be people who are visionaries. We don't have futurists anymore. We have destructionists, deconstructionists.
Dwayne Oldson sends in $5. Speaking of deconstructionists, like Disney did to George. He says Darth Jar Jar could have worked if only George Lucas wasn't George Lucas. I'm not going to sit here and keep blaming George for the downfall of Star Wars, like most people shouldn't, at least in my opinion. Jar Jar could have worked. You're right. And in retrospect, Jar Jar is more forgivable than anything Disney has done, and I don't mean that I don't just mean that on a level.
I agree.
And I don't just mean that on a level of annoyance or anything like that. What I'm talking about is George tried with Jar Jar. It wasn't like there was malintent there.
Oh,
he was trying to do something. It was kind of like a Howard the Duck situation. He did not go into it trying to fuck with anybody's day. He wasn't trying to piss everybody off. Disney was actively trying to piss people off. They knew they were going to piss people off.
Two of the things that George did almost every single one of his movies, which none of the Disney movies did, was, for the most part, was add a new world and an alien race.
You're right. Yeah.
He did that in every one of his movies, and that just expanded the universe that he created. And none of the three movies that were created by Disney did that. And those are two really important pieces. And Jar Jar and his family of aliens, thank God it wasn't just a bunch more British actors pretending to be outer-worldly individuals. So I give him full credit for trying to create something that is vaguely alien and not something that, we would normally see. I have enough of this Jar Jar Binks argument.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, at this point, I forgive George. Mr. Tickle Trunk says Razzies so white, but Oscars has blight.
There, you've got your own.
Mr. Tickle Trunk, as usual, firing it in there. He says, Tom's usually right, or else # Andre will smite. He doesn't smite me very often.
That's our resident poet right there.
Yeah, and then he says, Culture Casino's uptight, and I guess Paul is all right.
Hey.
I think he's Dr. Seuss this morning.
Oh, man.
Mr. Tickle Trunk adds more and says, Ezra Miller said you want to fight, and thank you, good night.
He is really raiding his mother's wallet.
He's a fellow Canadian and quite a Canadian comedian of sorts, too. Then we got Marksman of 11-7B says, Paul, I would like to correct you. If it is done right, then it would be progressive. To be woke is to fail at being progressive. Yeah, that's kind of what Andre was saying.
I don't have an argument with that.
I've actually been calling it regressive recently. I'm actually calling things what they are now. You are the people that are doing this. They're in the regressive movement. They are reviving issues we resolved 35, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And calling them just woke, I don't think I agree with you. And I've been calling them the woke waffen.
Yeah. I love your new video about woke too, Paul. I thought that was really
Thank you.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that. Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, do check it out. And Sean Carter, actually, this is funny you mentioned this, Sean, because how soon until we see best trans non-binary queer category, and how soon after that they split it into 500 other categories? Actually, what they'll end up doing is the opposite, Sean. And this is something they were actually discussing. Seriously.
They did that at the British Music Awards, where they got rid of the male and female category.
Yep.
That
could be the future. Yep. And they actually been toying with this for the Oscars. And I said, watch, they do this. And then in 5-6 years after the fact, they're going to start bitching because nobody but men win the fucking award except for whenever Meryl Streep makes a movie.
Than women. We know that for a fact, right?
Well, it's just unless Meryl Streep's up for an Oscar, men are going to win it. Hands down. That's all there's to it.
But the history of acting, I mean, all the way back to Shakespeare, men won for women's awards.
Yeah. Hey, Meryl Streep is a trans woman anyway.
Oh, I don't know about that, but
men made better women according to Shakespeare back then. So let's be fair. Yeah.
But no, I think this is actually something that's going to come up. Hopefully it'll get snuffed out before too long. But yes, this is something they've been talking about recently, about just combining the categories for acting so that There's no sexual
If the
separation.
Hollywood virtue signalers want to go all the way, then this is what they've got to acquiesce to. This is where they've got to bend the knee. They've got to get rid of the male female categories if they're going to go fully all in on this.
Well, the problem is if they go that direction that Sean's describing there, you will lose the masses.
Oh, for sure. But
because the only other alternative
masses in the movies.
Okay.
Yeah, because the only other alternative is to add a trans non-binary category, but then you'll have all them fighting amongst themselves, going, "Well, why doesn't the trans have their own? Why doesn't the non-binary have their own? Why doesn't the gay have their own?" Yeah, exactly.
Well, actually, then you would have to have like 2 more categories, because as it is right now, you have like the best male in a supporting role and best male in a leading role, and ditto with women, right? Now you would have to have a best they them in a lead role and a best they them in supporting role.
Yep.
And what happens if there are actors, men, male and female, who up to this point have chosen not to come forward with their sexual preferences?
Well,
and because they feel that is part of their own personal marketing and brand. This whole
they need a new agent. They need a new agent who can tell them, hey, like if these new categories, best they them in a lead and best they them in a supporting role, ain't too many. So if you were to become a they them right now, you can make a killing at this year's Oscar.
Well, I know he's being facetious, but Paul, you are right.
No, the LGBT crew. There's already massive fragmentation now with the LGB without the T, and here in Halton, where I live, already there's a school event by the Halton School Board that's been advertised from T on. No LGB can come to it.
Yep. This is the future.
We have gone into insano world. Like just absolutely nutsville. I don't, and it's all being led by our school boards and
you're not wrong.
Idiots.
But no, I can see that happening
out there that are touching our children.
But I'll tell you right now, if they do add a bunch of these categories, and I'm going to go past that, I'm not even going to comment. If they do add a bunch of these categories, I'll be one of the first ones to freak the fuck out, because I've been saying for years, where is the best stunt category? Like, there's a handful of categories.
Category.
The stunning stunt. But no, like, this is just getting awkward. And I mean,
it's awkward, dumb. It's crazy.
So stupid. It would be like, okay, if they start doing this shit, then Linda Hunt should get back her Oscar for playing a man, and vice versa. And everything else in the past, it's gotten to a point. It's just like ridiculous.
Swank.
Hilary Swank for playing a man. Yeah. But then once that starts happening, then they go, wow, you know.
They don't care. The people who are leading this charge are a bunch of narcissists, and the everyone else is so desperate to try to look virtuous that they're just going to get sucked into this Trojan horse of bullshit.
Indeed.
Wow. You know what? You're right. It is quite the Trojan horse.
And then we've got DCB Titan who says, this movie special, we talking FASD special, ASD special, or full on extra chromosome. Oh man. You went there. Justin Proper says, speaking of birthdays, happy birthday culture. It's your birthday? Oh, you didn't tell us?
It is not my birthday. Oh. He does this every once in a while. It's great to see you, Justin.
Oh wow. You. It's Culture's birthday, everybody.
It is not my birthday. My birthday is in November. I can't.
Okay.
Please don't make me older faster.
Sean Carter says, spoiler alert, Star Wars, Star Trek, Scooby-Doo, Willow, Lord of the Rings, and Witcher are all going to be on the in memoriam version this year. It's funny you mentioned that, Sean, because that's probably one of the bits on the J-Law Awards.
Yes, you are not gonna want to miss that on Comics Divisions.
Yeah, we've already discussed that. Lord Trinan has been a member for 21 months and says, YouTubers got to play a 2-hour development build of Hogwarts Legacy, and all the ones I have seen are very promising. Okay. Some small graphical and loading issues, but gameplay is fun and story too. Hype time Well, I'm glad to hear it for the fans of the franchise. So there you go. That's an actual review, it looks like, from somebody who's been watching the stuff on it. Marksman of 117B says the Rees, while hating JK, are some of the Harry Potter's biggest fans. They quit their addiction. They'll spend hundreds for books without JK's name. Well, this goes with the whole Gail Simone thing. It's like she spent all that money on those books, and then she's like, "Oh, it makes me sick to have them in my house." It's like, well, then get rid of them, donate them. Liam John Smith says, "What do y'all think of Justin Roiland's case?" I'm not going to comment too much on this. I don't know enough about it, so yeah.
It's unfortunate, with the DV charges and Adult Swim cutting ties with him and all that other stuff. It's gonna be borne out in the courts. It'll work its way through the proper process. I don't think we have enough information to even comment deeply on this, or even within a framework of context. So.
Yeah, I can't comment on the validity or what had happened here. So sorry, I have not been keeping up with it too much, Liam. I'm not that big of a Rick and Morty fan. It's all right. Hoopa Lulu. Oh, go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, no, like that's exactly the issue. We really don't. We're not sufficiently informed to have an opinion on the matter, and neither is anyone else. What I will say is, I think it's like intriguing how quickly they turn their back on him, but then you have others like Ezra and Amber, who appear much more protected and can do literally anything they want, whereas here is a matter of accusations and instantly dropped based on accusations. So yeah, there may be a season 7 of Rick and Morty, but take away one of like the most prominent voices, even in the hypothetical event that voice is guilty, should you really then continue?
And then one thing to add very, very quickly to that overall, I just want to say Hollywood, or studios in particular, are very opportunistic. So if something's already not performing or something's going sideways, they don't have any trouble making a decision based on an accusation or whatnot. So
unless it's Ezra choking out pregnant women on camera, then
yeah.
Well, Mr. Tickle Trunks, says people just want our hot takes on news that nobody knows anything about, Andre. So maybe we should comment on it.
Hollywood does have its standards, Andre.
Yeah, this is true.
Then Hoopa Lulu says, has any of you seen Last of Us show? It's been good so far, but every time I get excited watching it, I dread for what's to come. I know you watched a couple, Culture, but I think you've been keeping up with it too, haven't you, Paul?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks fantastic. It's one of those things where, with my network hat on, I'm going, this is a serviceable adventure, and I'll wait to see whether there's an audience for it. There's only so much you can do as, when you put these things together. At some point, you have to get them out, and the people are hitting their beats.
Yeah, and if you played the game, you have some inconsistency you're dealing with through the first 2 episodes. When you get to the end of the 3rd episode, I'm going to warn you, it steps away wildly. So just be prepared.
But that's good. It's got to.
Yeah,
it can't be the same show.
We got Woven Weave.
Yeah. Carry on. I was about to repeat my standard spiel on this, but I think I'll save it for an editorial.
All right. Woven Weaver sends in $10 and says there should be a larger pool of good, diverse actors and a larger pool of stories from different parts of the world, so you don't have to warp history to fit modern trend. Well, we normally do have a larger pool of. It's just they're trying to pretend that they're doing something new when they aren't. And I'm reminded of this all the time from Paul yourself when you do your TV guide stuff.
Yeah, part of the challenge is, again, the United States is the biggest market in the world for this. And Netflix, let's just deal with Netflix. They've got their own market. They can't be, well, they have a global market. But again, the success of Squid Game, I think, was a shock to everybody. Now, I'm trying to even remember now whether it was dubbed. I believe it was, right? That was a dubbed show, wasn't it?
Well, you can choose. There was a dub version that comes up automatically in English language countries, where you have to make an effort to switch it back to original language the way it's supposed
Right,
to be.
right.
Same thing with Troll, for instance, the Norwegian movie that came out here in December.
Yeah, the controversy though surrounded the closed captioning compared to the actual English subtitle translation. But yeah.
So the point is though that it was dubbed into English, but it was still a very foreign experience. I know from experience getting stuff dubbed into the United States is that there's less leeway, and you might not realize this as Americans, in terms of just how far you can go with even accents before you get people complaining that they don't understand what's in the show. And I'm not trying to be mean or a jerker about it, but I've seen the stuff because I've sent stuff into the United States, had things translated with a British accent, and then got stuff and got tons of stuff back from reactions in the US where they didn't understand a single word anybody was saying. So and then who knows what happens if you had a Swedish accent that's a little bit too hardcore. So there's a real challenge specifically in the United States, how much you can create that kind of super diverse feeling global experience. It's not as, unless things have changed over the last 20 years, which maybe they have, but don't underestimate that.
Oh, we got Keith in the house. How you doing, Keith? Says, love the fact that the entire entertainment industry wants to promote POC, yet none of them are interested in completing Lucas's Red Tails trilogy, the MCU's Blue Marvel, or DC Films Milestone Universe. Well, there you go. And do check out Pop Culture Minefield, where you can find Keith hanging out with those guys over there. Actually, I was hanging out with them yesterday morning.
Geary
with a J. Then we got Elf, who had a good point here. He goes, the real question is, what's going to be the Oscar incident?
Ah, nice. The slap. I
think going forward, all nominees should have to fight it out in a cage match for the win.
Agree.
Dude, I'm telling you, MTV had it right.
Yep.
They
so did. Waltman says, update, Vice is up for sale. Who's interested? Oh, wow.
I got $4.
That used to be or still is a Canadian publication.
Dude, did you see the tweet that went around about, which actually contained the article where they had an unfired cartridge in a wall?
Yeah.
So
I know what they were trying to do, but it looks so dumb.
It's staged. I'm like, that's not news. If you have to stage something, just show the bullet holes. You don't have to show a cartridge stuck through one. You freaking maroon.
Anyway,
and if the actors were, if the Oscars were smart, they would have put a promo together that had the slap and said, "If you thought this was fun this year, wait till you see what we've got set up this year."
Yeah,
that's how they should have. They should be promoting it that way.
One of these actors isn't who they say they are.
That's right. Clickbait. They should be using the same clickbait we have to on social media.
Turn it into a reality show / Royal Rumble. I'm all in for
reality show. That's right. I think
the backstabbing bitches are back.
Yeah. Welcome to Big Oscars.
Oscars 95. Tennille89 says, bit abstract, but what kind of worries me is what if future wokies learn and to be subtle and stop being lazy. Look how much traction this subpar version had. Well, here's the thing. The upside of it is that we'll actually just start getting some actual decent entertainment that happens to have things once in a while that feel a little woke. So it eventually work its way out to being progressive. The other side of it is it'll just be so bad nobody will fucking watch it. Because they'll be able to the general audience is starting to get more keen to these things. And Culture knows what I'm talking about specifically too, is, you talk to your family and your friends who aren't like internet nerds like us or IP nerds or whatever you want to call it. And they'll start to say things like, they'll notice, why is it always there's this gay character in the show and it's this, that, and the other. And why is it all of a sudden there's this character? And why is it they always talk about their pronouns and shit? Or what's this, that, and the other? They're starting to notice this shit. They can't put their finger on it, but they're noticing it.
And they ask because they know that that's something that I'm paying attention to rather, acutely. And yeah, they'll ask and you'll explain it to them. And then they go and do their research. And then they understand the same thing that I came to understand, which is there's a reason I'm disconnecting with any of this material. And it's not just because it's subpar.
So I think even if the wokes were to find a way to do better, I think the general audience is getting smarter.
Yeah.
So I think it washes itself out in the end. I think
Well,
sooner.
my biggest concern is that we lived in a time where people kind of held their tongues for whatever reason, and the activists have now caused people to speak their mind in a way that isn't good for marginalized people in the long run.
You are
That's
entirely
my
right.
biggest
And this is the perfect segue into the main topic of
Woo!
today, actually.
Yeah, and Tennille
But
just
yeah,
adds to
let's
that
deal
real
with
quick.
this
He
one.
goes, "Call me paranoid or overreactive, I suppose." No. We got to ask these questions, Tennille. That's the thing. And as Andre's pointing out, that's actually one of our main topics today. I don't know, where's the story here? We got so many of them back
I am
there.
concerned that all these asking of the questions perhaps is counterproductive. I'm so divided on this because I am concerned about people who are feeling marginalized. It's not something I'm even though I go after the woke, but on the other hand, I feel like I have to right now because of just
The problem is, Paul, is it's so easy to claim yourself as a victim and nobody is allowed to question you. Right? Look at how many people we're starting to learn now lied about losing family members in 9/11, for instance. Because finally, after all these years, people are starting to question some of their stories.
But my problem is that we are dealing with people, not the 9/11 thing, but a bunch of individuals who are loud, who are edge cases, and they seem to be running the narrative and not doing a lot of good for the people who just want to live their lives.
You know,
I hear you.
You say that, and you know, it's funny because I was watching a video where several people had interviewed Mr. Beast, right? The guy the guy with his team of folks that would, and he said the reason you get traction in any of these algorithms is because you are feeding an audience. He said replace the idea of this algorithm with this term audience. He says, and then an appeal to something in an extreme way. He said because that's how all of these metrics work. If you say the most extreme thing, you're going to get traction, even though you may not be doing the most extreme thing. He said the same way in presenting thumbnails and stuff like that. He's like, and then immediately come out with your take, you know, right from the very beginning, and then set up the rest of your video for your take and then support it with the rest of your video. It's a brilliant way of going about it, but this applies to pretty much every form of social media, in particular Twitter, because you just say something absolutely extreme, you know, with, you know, some subtlety in it, and you get that push, you get that viral thing. So we are literally catering to the extremes on social media, which is why some of these people who are fringe are getting the kind of support that they're getting. Anyway,
I hate them.
And here we go. That leads us into the story. Andre, go ahead and take over.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, this is goes right into what we were just talking about. Well, what if the wokies, the people who want to send the message first and foremost? Right now, it's easy enough to spot. But what if they become more clever and more subtle in their messaging? Well, this ties right into what Kevin Feige was saying in an interview with the movie blog from a few days back. This was picked up by Bounding into Comics. Check them out. Great publication, always on top of everything.
Yep, they're good.
Can't recommend them highly enough. And what they are referring to then is some statements that Kevin Feige made on the Movie Business podcast with host Jason Squire, who asked him what the secret to Marvel Studios' success is. As part of his answer, Feige detailed how the company goes through post-mortems, where they examine what they could have done better after the release of each motion picture or television series. Boy, would I have liked to be a fly in the room on those Phase 4 retrospectives. But anyway, he then detailed, and I guess to distill it down to what lessons are learned is to entertain the audience at every turn. This is something that they needed to learn after Phase 4, so that goes on with that. Feige elaborated, Frank Capra has a quote that our co-president Louis Desposito quotes often, which is basically to distill down to entertain first. You can have as many beautiful messages and beautiful life theories. This is their vokery, and beautiful thematics. And these are his words, beautiful, that you want to put into the world that all of us do, and all of our filmmakers. So basically saying we all want to put that in there. But if you're not entertaining first, it will fall on deaf ears.
Yeah.
So basically, after phase 4, it would appear that Marvel has learned if you're not entertaining, the social messaging, or rather the social engineering, will fall on deaf ears. That is to be rejected. And this goes right into this previous super chat. What Kevin Feige is saying here isn't that they're going to stop with the messaging. No. He's not saying that. He's saying we have to find a way to entertain so that audiences will accept our messaging. That is kind of what he's saying here. Cultured. I just
want to add to what you're saying and add some more context. This is exactly what Iger said in that interview as the incoming replacement CEO of Disney in a slightly different way. This is just he's Feige is listening to his boss who's telling him you have to bring people in. It doesn't mean you have to get rid of the messaging. You just have to entertain people first. This is the exact conversation that Iger was having with, I don't remember who that interviewer was.
Yeah, this is what I was afraid of with Iger coming back. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Culture.
No. That's all I wanted to introduce is that idea that this is he's being told to do this by Iger. Iger came back, he said what he said, and now he's pushing it down to all the studios, which includes Lucasfilm. So we'll have to see how, and again, we're going to go back to pointing out all of this stuff that'll be buried a little more subtly. It's still going to be there. They can't help themselves in making it, obvious, but it'll be slightly more veiled, I would suspect. Anyway, I'm sorry, Andre. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, Tom, can you bring up that quote from Mr. Tickletrunk on screen again? Because I thought it was really
let me find it here.
Yeah, that was
a great translation.
Our propaganda isn't effective. We need to fix that.
Exactly. That's kind of what he's saying. Our propaganda, we put it there, but it wasn't working as well as we liked because the audience wasn't entertained. So we're going to try to make the movies entertaining again, so our propaganda will work. That is, in a nutshell, what he said.
Do you think he really meant that? Did he misspoke? Because, that's you don't even have to read between the lines to understand that that's the point.
I think that's exactly.
Oh, that's exactly the point. And I think
just
putting that out there. I'm asking because it's kind of a ridiculous statement.
Well, remember, this is exactly kind of like what because Cultured Casino is entirely right. This because what you're referring to is the Disney Town Hall, which was on the Tuesday after Iger came back again. Monday morning. Tuesday they had a town hall, and then they spoke about like how the movies, they had to entertain, they had to please the audience, but it also has to please the people making them, and there's going to be a little bit back and forth there. So Iger essentially was saying that the audience is rejecting our messaging, but the messaging is so important. It's what Disney has always done, even though it isn't, and we can't lose that. We just can't lose that.
So I have an analogy. Our dog Ivy needs to take some pills. They taste like crap.
Right.
So you
stick
put
them in a
cheese.
banana to hide them, to fool her into taking the pills.
Exactly.
That's what this is.
Yeah, that's pretty much what Kevin's saying. And I'm going to go back to what
give us a bigger banana to eat.
Exactly. And I'll go back to what I was saying before to the previous super chat is that there's an upside and a downside to this. The upside is if they actually do manage to make things good, nobody will give a shit if it's woke or not, because at that point it doesn't matter because it will work within the context of the film. The other side of it is it'll just be so bad that everybody will keep noticing and they'll go away anyway. What this is doing is Kevin is admitting that they've lost about half the fucking audience too in this.
Yeah. Oh, and they're losing.
Why do they find the need to put social messaging into a comic book movie to begin with?
Well, there's twofold to this. First of all, you got the ESG money coming in from various places, right? They're pushing propaganda for whatever reason. Also, they probably see this as like I can see Iger and Kevin hanging on to this idea that we hit gold when we made Black Panther. So they're trying to recreate that, and through that they made a huge hit through a movement that was happening in society at that time.
They had nothing to do with, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. So they basically piggybacked on everything that was going on at that moment in history and managed to have this humongous hit that, let's be real, if it had come out a few years before, maybe a few years after, Black Panther tops out at $600, $700, $800 million at most. But it was one of those movies that came out at the right fucking time when there was a
right
palpable
waffle time.
Right stroopwafel, palpable taste for it. And I don't know if Andre agrees with that or not, but I think that's part of it. The rest of it is just that this is Iger's whole game from the start.
Right. Well, of course, again, he is a political animal. We've had this conversation. He's risen far above his ranks, just, because everybody remembers he's a weatherman. But I just want to say this. I think there's something even more insidious about Feige pulling in the name Capra. Capra-esque was all about, not just about the entertainment, but the love of family and the unit of family, and all of his
kind
films
of middle America kind of thing.
Yeah, very middle America ideals. So
yeah, he's not allowed to bring that up. That is offensive because the stuff is nothing Capra-esque.
Right.
The closest one would have been Spider-Man, and I think that was what he was referring to.
I didn't like Capra's Spider-Man.
Yeah, well,
And if I may suggest,
I thought Jimmy Stewart made a great Spider-Man.
Let me find my web. Just a second. I can't find it.
Oh gosh, Mary Jane, I guess I love you.
Wow.
But another reason why they would be doing this, to answer that question, Paul, look at Disney's owners. Look at the struggle that is going on right now over at Disney's board. And it is about just this. It is about the wokeness, the propaganda, the social messaging, or rather the social engineering. When you look, the biggest institutional owners that Disney has, BlackRock and Vanguard, they're all about ESG and using their monetary power to enforce it. And they're very, very happy to use Disney as a propaganda outlet to further their cause in culture that they also support financially in boardrooms across the world.
But their boardrooms don't reflect the diversity that they're pushing on us. And
but here's like the thing: you're supposed to do as they say, not do as they do.
Correct. And I have found in the past that the most virtuous a large multinational is, it's usually a bulwark against them actually doing the right thing within their business structure. It's a way to obfuscate their lack of adding different people into the power structure.
Yeah. I mean, you have like the same thing going on right now in Davos, where how they're all going on about how we are. You saw like that previous, or there was like this video of this previous idiot that almost become president at one point. How like talking about we are really saving the world because we're going to make the pleb eat bugs and everything, and stop using gas stoves while we travel here in our private jets. So, yeah, it's like there's some difference between what they say and what they do. And that is especially true for those that want to influence change in others and use Disney as a means to do just that.
So special messaging has become product placement.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's a good thing.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's staggering what he is.
Well, they're basically like Marvel right now is taking an influencer assignment instead of pushing ESG in boardrooms, it's pushing it in culture.
I don't see the benefit in it, but I guess.
Oh, it's
ESG money, unless you're talking about that.
Yeah.
Well,
is there anything you want to add to that? You looked so thoughtful there.
Oh no, I unfortunately had to step away for a second, but no, I mean the ESG stuff has been polluting it for so long. I don't know the context of what I walked into, so I don't think I should add. I'm gonna be quiet.
But anyway, that is
That's
kind
never
of
stopped
what,
me, culture.
What Feige is saying here is that no, people are rejecting our propaganda, so we need to be better at disguising it.
And I will say to you that none of these CEOs who've got washrooms in their suite on the 57th floor of their office tower are going to add transgender options.
Well, they'll do it for the staff working on the first floor. But
No one else gets into their washroom but them. And they have elevators that go directly to their offices that bypass all the other elevators.
But you did bring up a point there also that is true, Paul, and that is that I think a lot of this forced diversity comes from the fact that of their own self-guilt, because they have not had the diversity behind the scenes. They have mistreated people of color and of whatever said sex or what have you.
Oh, and they probably have.
They are the ones that have to change, but they're trying to put the onus on us. That's the thing.
Yeah,
and we also have another Canadian joining us. They're multiplying. Mr. Script Doctor.
Ooh.
He can replace me because I got to go.
Oh,
yeah.
That's good timing. I was out most of the morning.
Let me double check and see if there's any specific super
Were you
chats
shoveling
for
snow there,
Paul.
Script?
Kind of.
Oh no. Just working through College Barn says Stroopwafel sounds like a German gamer word, Paul.
Yeah, but it's
I think it's Hungarian.
Dutch treat.
Yeah, it sounds like something yummy, like a pastry.
It is.
Yeah, it's a waffle.
It's a waffle. It's a thin waffle with caramel in between it.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
I sign me up for that.
It's good.
Yeah, coming soon to your local Waffle House. No, I think that's
the German gamer word. That's Stackenblocken. So
I think that's all for Paul.
And the German version would be Stroopwaffen. So
wow.
And then we have college working through, or just working through College Barn says, very merry on birthday to Culture Casino.
Oh,
that's a very merry on birthday to you. To you.
Oh, very merry on birthday to me.
And then Mr. Tickle Trunk also says happy on birthday to Culture Casino. And he still gives you cake.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's all for you guys.
Very generous.
All right.
So
well, I honestly wish I could stay. Paul, I apologize. I keep interrupting you.
No. I'm just saying. I'm Script Doctor. You okay? You're going to sub for me. We should have like one of those wrestling handoff things.
Yeah, I'm tagging you in. Tagging you out.
Tag me out.
Just don't hit me on the way to try to do that because I'm in between you guys.
No. I do have the hidden implement in my pants here. You know, the hidden whatever that the sharpened pencil in my trunks. Those were the good old days of wrestling.
Oh, when Real Blood was a real seller, yeah.
Yep. Sweet Daddy Siki. He would never have a hidden implement in his trunks. It was actually quite obvious. Never mind. Anyway, so thank you very much for having me, everyone.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Go check out Call Me Chato. Link is, as always, in the description. If you haven't subscribed already, go do so.
And
bring it closer to 100K because we look forward to the celebration.
Thank you. Yeah, I just released a video today, my final summary on that 90s show. And coming up is 1982 TV guide. So,
oh, nice.
That's coming up. Anyways, really good issue. Like amazing shows. This is part of the Brandon Tartikoff era. So TV becomes good. So that's your hint. Anyways, thank you very much, everyone. Hopefully I didn't cause too many problems and said things I shouldn't have, but that's my brain is not always connected to my mouth.
It happened.
Did you say culture?
I'm going to go too. Bye, everybody. Okay. Love you. Check out my channel. And check out his channel, and check out WW Pro's channel, check out Script Doctor's channel, and check out Tom's. Check out everybody's channel. I'm leaving. Bye. Okay.
All right. Take care. Oh yeah, and of course, it's Script Doctor's Patreon, which is also linked to in the description. So yeah, Script, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, sorry, we got some snowfall, and I had to participate in that removal. But no, I did see this. It's strange that the head of Marvel Studios is publicly admitting of their messaging, in such an obvious and blatant way. Beforehand, it was a little. You could at least argue there's a little bit of subtlety in their discussion about it, except for Victoria Alonso. But now it's very interesting that right as Bob Iger has reasserted his control, we get here's the old boss, same as he ever was, sort of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, don't get excited for Disney anytime soon, because there is really no need to. They will be going down the drain in a handbasket. I absolutely believe.
Yeah, they're circling it at the moment. It's I was actually talking with Mexican Iron Man about this the other day. How this year might be the year of what I would like. Tom has the great or the final I have something similar called like the flushing. So all the stuff that's kind of garbage is going to be coming out this year from the studios that are just trying to change course. And then there's going to be that one that's going to hold on. It looks like it's Disney. And it's interesting how this only comes a couple of weeks after we learn that Ant-Man 3 is getting reshoots to, quote, make it more funny. But there's a part of me that thinks that funny is maybe a code word for some more social messaging in addition to the comedy. It's just all happening kind of really like a domino effect, right? You have, you have Chapek out, Iger back in, contemplating rumors of them selling, and then now we've got rumors of reshoots, then reshoots confirmed, and now we have advertisement of we're still sticking with the message, doubling down with the very thing that put us in this position in the first place. It's very self-destructive.
Yeah. Absolutely it is. So not too excited about what's going to happen with future Marvel movies. I mean, sure, looking forward to the Avengers with all the people from Phase 4. That's going to be something, won't it?
It's going to be something, but it's also going to basically give us another studio Fantastic Four film that's going to fail. I mean, it's like they can't get it. They can never get it right. Roger Corman is going to be retaining his stature of having done the most accurate and faithful Fantastic Four film ever that nobody technically should have seen.
I wish Marvel had the Fantastic Four back into Phase 1 and Phase 2, hell, even Phase 3 days, because that's the last chance, like early Phase 3, that's the last time they would have done it right. And I do believe they would have done it right when Ike Perlmutter is what I meant to say, was still at the studio. They really needed Perlmutter as a check and balance. The moment he was gone, it all went down the drain. But we have a few more super chats, so let's start plowing through them. Mecha J says for $5, the Hollywood Reporter said that Michelle Yeoh identifies as Asian when they talked about her Oscar nomination. Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, it made me giggle too.
Wait, Jennifer Lawrence didn't identify as Asian when she won the Oscar?
Evidently not.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
She identified as a goddess.
Well, I mean, they're actually doing the very thing that we joked about when we started hearing about this identify stuff years ago. Remember what was the saying, like, you identify as this? Well, I identify as a Apache helicopter, and they said you can't. It's like, well, now we're getting to the point where we're taking the real things and putting identify in front of them just because. Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna identify as a Cherokee so I can get all the benefits. Is that how it works now?
Maybe. Give it a shot. Let's report back to us.
I'll try. Then we got ActionCom here who says, has anyone watched any Academy Award winning film shorts? Often wondered if we're missing out on some entertainment that would be worthwhile. Maybe. They're difficult to find sometimes, but I think with YouTube that may have changed now. But I mean, I've seen a few here and there that were decent.
There are some shorts which are really, really good. But the problem is, as you said, for most people, they're impossible to find.
Yeah, unless you're actually happen to be at one of these festivals or whatever. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or like for instance, one of the company that I used to frequently fly with back in the before days. On like the in-flight cinema, they would always have like these shorts from around Europe, animated shorts. And they were pretty amazing, a lot of them, but they were impossible to retrieve anywhere else. I mean, maybe the artist would have it on their Vimeo page or something, but even that's sketchy. So yeah, good luck finding those shorts. You'll need it.
Yeah, shorts don't often get a distribution deal. What some people who have made short films have been doing is coordinating with other people that made short films and putting them all together in a 2-hour package to try and pitch to a distributor so that they can do a physical media release of a pressing of all of their shorts on one DVD or Blu-ray. There's someone in Canada that does that with some horror short films that are done, but it's still in the trial process. It hasn't taken off yet, but it is a way where you can actually see a whole list of short films for a very affordable price, which is a good market strategy for distributors. But until more people get on board with that stuff, it's still going to be very, very difficult to find short films to find, even on YouTube and Vimeo and Dailymotion and all those other sites. Very difficult.
And if you do come across like one like such anthology DVD or Blu-ray with these shorts, it's going to be made in a very limited supply. So do yourself a favor and pick it up, because that's a very rare opportunity.
Yeah.
And then we've got let's see here, DCB Titan, who says, but what about best clown self in leading role category? The Oscars will go longer than some films do. Well, they already do go 4 or 5 hours now. That's the part of the problem. And I don't even understand that, because they keep seeming to try to do things to speed them up, but yet they just keep slowing them down. And I don't understand it, but and they keep taking away things that they're supposed to be giving more time to, like the acceptance speeches and such. But yeah. Hillis Mallory says, shouldn't we just say gay community? Well, they're not just the gay. There's the gay community. There's the lesbian community. There's the
if anything,
tons of other communities.
The pure gays are starting to be evicted from the community.
Well, we've talked about that. Now they're basically calling them like cis gay and shit like that. Like, I loved it when Bill Maher made the point, is like, we got the gay pride parade. Where the fuck are all the gay men? Like, well, isn't that what this is supposed to be about? Like, yeah. So they're even being pushed out of their own community, in quotations, to point. But this is what I think Paul was referring to earlier too, is where you have so much. Okay, you have like the original communities that we used to just refer to as like the LGBTQ community or whatever it used to be. And then there's a few other groups that tried to indoctrinate this community and use this community. And it got to a point where certain people and certain groups that were not welcome were trying to hijack it. So like, that's where we're at right now. So there's a lot of infighting on top of it all. So again, it's not something I like to comment too much on. And it's not really our place or what we really get into here either. But yeah. Anybody else want to say anything? No.
Not really. I think you covered it nicely. It's a little bit on the side of what we cover, but yeah.
Unless it actually affects something specifically, we usually don't. Corey on the Witch Residence sends in 20 Canadian bucks.
Oh, thank you.
And very generously says, and the award for best generic hominid carbon unit goes to Jennifer Lawrence.
That's one way of getting rid of like genders in total. And also quite a few categories. Like for instance, next year, if they really need to shorten it down.
Yeah.
And also that way, you do leave the door open for someone identifying as an Apache helicopter.
Finally, my time to shine will be approaching sooner than I expected.
And you are good for a landing, sir. Then we got History Will Always Remember It's Always Bad Robot. Says it's not time to take away Elliot Page's best actress Oscar, being as apparently he is no longer an actress. Well, this might become a problem eventually too, but they ain't taking nobody's Oscars
I guess
away.
the engraving on that is considered dead naming, wouldn't it?
It is technically, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they could go back and have them fixed.
But the award or Elliot?
Let's not touch that one. Proy 42 says, I feel like he should not have lost his job until there was a verdict. I agree you're innocent until proven guilty, but in this, look, there's a lot of fields that aren't even in Hollywood where if you were to get this kind of an accusation leveled at you, and I believe, is there actual charges made? That's the thing. I don't know enough about the situation.
Charges made.
Okay, with actual charges made, in most cases, you're going to get either suspended or lose your job. Yeah. No matter what you fucking do.
And also
just because most people don't want to deal with that kind of shit.
Exactly. But also, you now, and this is especially true for like SJWs, they have found a new term for defending stuff like this. When you have someone who is accused and who may or may not be guilty, maybe especially if they haven't done it, which I'm not talking about in this particular case, because we don't know, but in other cases, where someone most likely didn't do it, you still have the term to justify anything you do. Credibly accused.
Yeah, so I
Someone
mean,
is credibly accused. You can do whatever. They can be unpersoned completely.
I don't agree with the situation, but again, I don't know enough about it. But I'm not surprised because usually, I mean, even if like, let's just. You know, it's even if you're a cop or a teacher, stuff like that, those kind of jobs, if you get these kind of things coming after you, then chances are, like I said, you're going to be suspended or fired. If you're in some kind of public, position like that, it's just a norm. It's almost like protocol or whatever you want to call it. But hopefully, if it turns out he's innocent, if he doesn't get his job back or continue to work, that's a different story, I guess. But yeah, Paulus Plain says, Andre, oh boy, propaganda works best when those who are being manipulated are confident that they are acting on their own free will, says Joseph Gables.
Yeah. This is very true. And
make them think it's their idea. Exactly.
I believe they have studied the masters of the craft of various kinds of engineering very, very well.
Indeed.
So, yeah, thank you, Carlos.
Daniel Stenitstam says, I'm gender fluid, and today I was auditioned for Romeo and Juliet, and I'm happy to say I got the part. And I got the part.
Oh, congratulations. Romeo and Juliet. I look forward to the world. I was about to say the one-man show, but rather the one they-them show.
I was going to say, that actually sounds like something they would do.
Yeah, but in the 80s they would do that, but it'd be a single performer where the left side of the performer
there was somebody who did
the right
that.
side is female. They just switch their profiles back and forth as they do the lines.
But it wasn't for Romeo and Juliet. I believe, if I remember right, it was the guy who did the one-man show for like The Godfather, because so he had like one side of it was a male-looking kind of generic kind of look, and then a female for the other side, so he could flip around for each character. If I remember right.
Well, I just remember stand-ups and performers doing that for all sorts of things.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it before, but yeah. Go ahead. You were saying.
No, I finished.
Oh, okay. Sorry. But yeah, and then Pilgrim Media says, Da Oscar goes to the... Yeah, they're probably afraid to even say what they are anymore because then they'll misgender somebody. Daniel says, you can't help marginalize people by elevating them to number one most focus. That just turns them into the same attention addicts that our celebrities are. Well, yeah, you have that problem already. So yeah. Mr. Tickle Trunk says, money is meaningless to an ego. If you think you're forging yourself into history, I will be remembered forever fondly saving the world. The ego. Yeah. Or fondling the world. That's what they're doing now. Mr. Tick Trunk also says, always follow the money until you find ideology. Well, yeah, usually there's someone behind it who has an idea. Angro Spaz Marine, that's an interesting name, says, we are the Borg. Lower your standards and surrender your morals. We will forcibly add our diversity and inclusivity into you. Resistance is futile. That's kind of what they think Disney thinks they're going to be able to do, and they're just going to get rejected Willolo says, y'all look like victims of abuse that defend his abuser. Stop seeing Hollywood trash. They hate you. Alternative, entertaining, or nothing. I'm not sure who you're referring to here, but okay. But then we got Action Com here who says, no, Mr. Tickletrunk, follow the cocktail parties and find and then find the ideology. Well, there's that too. Sonic times 2 says, you think Hilary Swank will be in Cobra Kai season 6? Yes.
Yep.
I do.
It looks like it's 2 seasons to cover technically one of the original trilogy films, and then a button.
You basically got 2 trilogies here, yeah.
Yeah.
Then we got Elf here who says, I still identify as Mikey's nightmare. And I'm sure he identifies you as his nightmare. And then Razzies apologized for nominating the 12-year-olds. They did, huh? I'm not surprised. Fucking wusses. And then Jesus Davila sends a thumbs up. If you haven't hit that thumbs up yet, please do. And we appreciate that. And we are caught up on the super chats then. And with that, we are actually going to be getting out of here. We're going to save the other story for either next time or Andre's going to do an editorial. But that looks like there may be an end coming to the streaming wars, or at least Hollywood is starting to realize what we were trying to tell them all along. But yeah, so quick look at that for next time, because it's getting to be that time of the day, folks. So yeah, Wall Street streaming warning to Hollywood: get more dire, can't light money on fire.
That's the quantity over quality is the message from that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with that, since Andre's actually away in the back here because he's dealing with some behind the scenes stuff, we're going to save that for either the next show or maybe Andre will do an editorial on that. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And Script Doctor, you got your Patreon. Is there anything else you want to plug besides that?
Yes. So I just so recently, in response to my Night Court pilot versus pilot article, a colleague sent me the 3rd draft of the original pilot script, and I reviewed that on my Patreon and dropped it. So you can go check that out as well. Plus, I actually might do a gaming stream in an hour or so, because I woke up a little early, and my sister's fiance gave me a recommendation for a Valheim thing, and I plugged it in and it started going well, and I figured, I might just do that sometime later this week. And since because of the weather here, most of my afternoon has been canceled, I'll probably go do that on my YouTube channel. So if you guys want to hang out and ask me anything screenwriting, story related, come visit my channel, youtube.com/scriptdoctor, and let's say in about an hour. And we'll have some fun. You can watch me get killed by various weird monsters in a Viking-like setting.
Sounds like fun. And then later on, we got 4K for you. I'm sure Andre's got some videos in the hopper. Let's see. Do check out Call Me Chato. Check out Culture Casino. I don't think I'm missing anything. Thank you to Six and all the other mods for all your help today. That's right. Like Big Daddy MRI, who says smash the like button if you haven't already. We appreciate that. And let's get out of here. As Andre would say, it is time for Koalas in the Rain. If I can find the button.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given, koala, koala. Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given, koala, koala. Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given.
Okay, we got one more super chat. Miguel Farah says, I'll make up for bitching about Midnight's Edge starting late with a gratuitous super chat right before it ends. Well, thank you, Miguel, and we appreciate that. Take care of yourself, guys.
Well,